Good golly, Miss Molly, it's hot. You ever just want to put an ice pack down your knickers? Hi guys, I'm Shelley and welcome to episode 10 of the Hormone Diaries. I might actually finish this series. So the last episode I talked about contraceptions and different coils and different things you can stick up your food to stop you getting knocked up. And I mentioned that I'd had a coil put in and that it was a bit of a horror show. So I was going to share that with you. Before I even start on this, disclaimer that it's not everybody. Most people can have a coil and it'd be fabulous and wonderful. I mean, it's going to hurt a bit, but everything goes smoothly. I'm one of the weird cases. We may have, established this by now. I'm not exactly normal. So if you're watching this and you're thinking about getting the coil, this is not to scare you off. Please don't be afraid to go and get one. It's very, very rare that this happens, and there were signs along the way that this was going to happen and they were just overlooked, ignored. This is basically, if things could go wrong, it will go wrong story. But it is very unlikely that these things will happen to you. And basically for entertainment, for you guys to know how it can just go a bit wrong. Also, if you're squeamish and you don't like knowing about vaginas, why the heck are you watching this? Okay, let's get started. How did my coil story start? Basically, I have chronic ill health naturally. So every 6 months to a year I would have a basic blood workup just to see what was going on, and it showed that I had too much of the hormone androgen in my blood. I think it's called androgen. I'm gonna get it wrong more than likely, but it showed that I had too much of a certain hormone in my blood, which showed signs towards PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. I also had very heavy bleeding and really bad periods, and it was about time that it just kind of got looked at. So I went to a gynecologist, sort of specialist inside my GP clinic. She said, well, you have these signs of PCOS. How we treat that, we can put in an IUS coil, which is a coil that releases a hormone. It releases progesterone, I can't say that word, I'll link it down below, but it releases a hormone which just kind of lowers the periods, gets them under control, gets your PCOS under control a bit. I decided to have said coil, but before that happened I had to go for a scan just to give me a checkup. Now, I have done a video on this scan before, which I will link here, there, everywhere. It went wrong. I didn't have the scan because I was a virgin at the time, and this was back in 2015 probably. The guidelines were if you were a virgin they couldn't give you a scan because the scan had to go up through your vagina. This rule has changed now, they can do that, thank God. But at the time, scan didn't happen. So this was the first thing that went wrong, because had they had the scan, some other things would have shown up. The coil would have been stopped. My blood tests were still hinky, and so we decided to go ahead and have the coil put in anyway. Because I could have a coil put in now because I'd lost my virginity the week between having the scan and going back to the doctor and talking about it. Why she didn't just send me for another scan, I will never know, but she didn't. I just decided to go for it. I thought, what could possibly go wrong? It was a pretty simple procedure. I was told, I got a big booklet, like everything that could go wrong, the usual, what I should do afterwards, how I should look after myself. I was told it was going to be like having a really bad period. There wouldn't be much bleeding, but there would be some, but the cramps would be really bad for a while because obviously you're having something inserted, your body's going to go, ah. So I went in, up on the desk, legs akimbo, the doctor's down the business end. Now, to put a coil in, it basically just goes into your uterus. I am medically quite odd that I curve inside myself, so to get hold of my cervix and make it do what it's supposed to do, they have to put a little clip on it. This is very, very painful. Ow. So we had to stop once the clip was on. She didn't take it off, I just needed to breathe through it. We're just like, can I just have a second? It's not a nice feeling, but it's not the worst in the world because I also knew it was going to end. I was kind of in the mindset, I knew this was going to be painful, so I told myself the whole way through, just breathe through it because it'll be over in like 15 minutes. This is just going to be a section of time and then it's going to be over. It's not pleasant to have a coil put in, but it is not the most horrible thing in the world. I would put it up there with a bad smear test. Done, sit up, bit dizzy, told to go home, drink lots of water, take it easy for a couple of days. Got home, it hurt. There was cramping, there was a bad, I have bad periods because I had PCOS, so it wasn't nice. But, go put myself to bed, big glass of water, box of biscuits, 2 series of Dollhouse on the telly. I'll get through this, you know? Second series of Dollhouse goes by. We're now into the middle of the night over the first day. The cramps are getting really bad. Now, I am a human who cannot take painkillers. They don't work on me. So 24 hours went round, and obviously the pain has gotten worse because I haven't eaten, I haven't drunk, I haven't slept. You expect your body's going to start to go into exhaustion. And I started to get a fever, and I started to get shaky, and I started to be able to not be able to talk properly or communicate properly because this pain was so bad. I'd never experienced pain like it before in my life. I couldn't communicate at this point. I just happened to have a friend who was in the ambulance service in London at the time. I kind of texted him and said, look, this is happening. Should I be worried? You know, can I just run a medical thing by you? Tell me to, you know, go away. And he's just like, that sounds a tad like toxic shock. I don't want to panic you. Do us a favour, call 111. Now 111 is a medical phone line you phone here in the UK. They told me to please go into A&E and get checked out just in case. My family take me into A&E and I see a lovely nurse who recognises the symptoms straight away as I'm having a problem with my coil. A&E is jammed. I should go over to the GP surgery over the road, get an appointment. The GP will sort me out. Going to see the GP, the first words, why are you taking paracetamol? I'm a human who can't take them. That's nonsense. Go home, take them, shut up and leave me alone. Were basically what he said. Now, this is the bit where it really starts to annoy me because I started to get treatment of, I'm a hysterical woman who can't take pain, who hasn't taken painkillers. Why the hell am I making a fuss? Why am I here wasting their time? This is where I get annoyed. But I can't communicate properly because I'm just like, but oh, okay, I just want to go home to bed. This doctor is not having it. I can't get a second opinion. I go home. I give up. I'm just like, I'll give it another 24 hours then. I wait another 24 hours. At this point, I'm past knowing who the hell I am. I am in so much pain. I go back to A&E. I'm shifted back over to the GP's surgery. This time they scan me and they're just like, well, it's sort of out of place is that it's slightly coming out. So we're now at 72 hours since this coil has put in, and it's apparently starting to ease its way out of my uterus. I've had 72 hours of pain. I've had 72 hours of not eating, not sleeping. I cannot take this crap anymore. I tell her to take it out. And she's just like, well, that's sort of a waste of time. You're just going to have it put in again. You really should just, no, shut up. I've had it. That's what the last doctor said. No, just take the damn thing out. The wave of relief that comes over me is nothing short of, it still makes me a bit, because I had been screaming inside my head for 72 hours and it just stopped. It was almost instant. It took 2 or 3 minutes for the cramping to stop completely, but I went in there, doubled over, unable to talk, and I came out and started talking to my brother on the way home in the car, and he's just like, bloody hell. I couldn't explain what had happened. She couldn't explain what had happened. I now know what had happened, which is my uterus had decided that this foreign object had to come out, and I had been having contractions. Yes, people, contractions for 72 hours. I had been in labour for 72 hours without a baby. This has happened to other women. I've looked it up. I have now had it confirmed that this is what happened. My body thought I was going into labour and it started pushing the coil out. But of course it's not a baby, it hadn't been pregnant, it didn't have all the things in place to do that, so it just went nuts. And this has been known to happen with people who have a bad reaction because they also have, that lay undiagnosed because I didn't have a scan, endometriosis and endometrioma. And because I didn't have that transvaginal scan originally, because I was a virgin, none of that was diagnosed, and so I had a coil. Now, I would never have had a coil if endometrioma and endometriosis had been diagnosed, because the coil is not the treatment for an endometrioma, it's the treatment for PCOS, which I also have, but with the other things as well, and with my body's reaction to foreign objects that just wants to get rid of them, I should have never had this coil put in the first place. And it just sort of makes me angry. I mean, the main thing that makes me angry is that original doctor that when I first went into A&E, his reaction of, oh, just go home and take some paracetamol and stop being hysterical. There is a great thing in A&E, which I have had over and over again, where I'm told I'm being hysterical. If a man comes in with massive amount of pain, you're given every test under the sun. Because men don't complain. But women do, apparently. I don't complain about pain. I really don't. I have pain every single day of my life. I have about 3 different chronic illnesses at this point. I'm somebody who can stand a fair amount of pain, so for me to go to A&E, I'm bloody desperate because I hate hospital. And I tried to explain this to this dude, but it just wasn't happening. And that's what makes me angry. I mean, I should have gone back to the doctor. There is the point where after I had the coil taken out, I should have gone back to my GP and said, look, something is wrong. I am now no longer a virgin. Can we try again? But obviously the coil isn't the answer. But I was terrified at this point. I had been fobbed off by doctors. There was only one nurse in A&E who recognised what was wrong with me and recognised that I was having contractions. So I was way too scared to go back to my GP and go, hi, what is the next course of action? Because the coil didn't work. But because I'd had it taken out on my own fruition, because I'd chosen to have it taken out, I was seen as the person who no longer wanted medical help, that I had walked away from it. I hadn't walked away from it. It medically needed to come out, just nobody recognised it. And that makes me so angry that women and myself are treated like this. I'm getting upset now. Just the amount of pain I was in for no apparent reason because I was undiagnosed. Now the NHS is a mess, and we know this, and I cannot blame specific people because doctors are not gods, but I do wish there was some kind of procedure where they stop treating women as hysterical. We are past that. If we are in pain, we are in pain. We don't go to A&E just because we got the hiccups. It's just... So, if you have had a coil put in and you are in pain, please do something about it. I cannot say that it's going to get helped if you go to A&E or you go to a doctor, but this is the signs and the things I had. If you are having a coil and you have contractions, you are in pain for more than 48 hours, something is wrong. Hopefully I'm the friggin' weird case and this never ever happens to you. That was my story of my coil, and I have gone back to the gynecologist for scans and stuff since, and I now have residual pain from the scarring of my body trying to push this coil out. My insides are scarred permanently, and I have fault lines of pain through me because of that. It's just freaking ridiculous. I probably scared everybody off from having a coil now, haven't I? Please don't be scared. I'm a very, very rare, stupid, dark case. It's unlikely this is going to happen to you. And now you know what to look for if it does. Well, I hope you guys are good. I will see you guys next month for another Hormone Diaries. Hormone Diaries? Hummus Diaries? See you later. Bye.